had the privilege of serving on Mura. If I'm correct, Councillor Elton, he was also at Mura, if I'm correct. But anyway, the one critical thing that I've picked up is the development of the Strandfontein Pavilion. Now, I know that it appears to be some type of business hub. It is something that was identified, however, nothing has materialized. It's the powers that be that maybe deemed it necessary, maybe not to put forward the Strandfontein Pavilion business hub. Now, I know by doing whatever needs to be done in order to generate or to create the Strandfontein business hub, I think that in itself will generate mega millions, not only for or into the coffers of the state, but also it is job creation in terms of the community within Ward 43, which encompasses San Remo, Bayview, Strandfontein, Scarpkraal. So those are one of the main aspects that I can foresee in which we can venture down in order to generate job creation and also coffers for the people.
Of course, if one looks at business and one looks at unemployment, there is a big correlation between the two. And so what does it mean if our businesses are not striving, our unemployment rate continues to increase? And hence it's important that businesses should be helped. And we know that during this time of COVID, many of our businesses suffered financially. And of course, if the businesses suffer financially, they are not able to pay their workers. And so what does it mean? It means that poverty increases in our community. And what COVID has shown, how vulnerable our communities are. And so I am reiterating, and we as a party are reiterating and saying that business plays a very important role in our society, in our community, because businesses employs our people. But we also know that businesses, apart from financial struggles, we also know that businesses find it difficult to operate within the city of Cape Town. Why? Because we do have a lot of red tape when it comes to businesses. It can take up to 3-4 months to start a business. And when we say starting a business, we are looking at the compliance aspect of a business. And so what we are saying as the ACDP, we are saying that we will remove the red tape, which is a constraint to businesses. We are saying that the process needs to be fast-tracked so that our economy can come back onto track. And when one looks at young people and employment opportunities, we are looking at developing the entrepreneurial spirit within our communities. And as you know, that our young people in our communities, when it comes to employment opportunities, they have lost hope. And so what we are saying to young people in Ward 43, we are saying that we as the ACDP will empower you to start your own businesses. Because small businesses, that will tick this community in terms of its economy. It will start the economy within Ward 43 in the broader city of Cape Town. And it's been proven right across Africa how successful small businesses are. One looks in Africa, but what are the things that makes it easy for businesses to operate? It's the removal of the red tape. And of course, when one looks at businesses and the security of businesses, when we've seen it, that businesses suffer a lot because of theft, because of robbery, because of vandalism that is happening within our community, and they target the businesses. Especially when we have outages, it is the business that suffers because people see this. They are into crime. They see this as an opportunity to target soft targets. And so what we are saying, we will not only empower the businesses with entrepreneurial skills in developing those businesses, we are also saying that we will look at how we're able to secure the businesses from a security perspective and how we are able to put in cameras where businesses are operated, especially in our CBDs, and how we're able to secure our business so that the business can thrive and our community can thrive. Thank you.
Where we need to start is that our communities are still very much undeveloped. Our roads are very undeveloped. And if you take Spine Road for one, it gets congested very quickly. And that's a problem. And if I should mention, does the sir live in Skarpkraal area maybe? Is that where you from? No? Okay. But I visited the Skarpkraal area, and there are a lot of businesses that are running there. And I mean, have you driven in those roads? Those roads are terrible. It's like those roads have been attacked by multiple meteors crashing down in the area. It's horrible. And that is something that needs to be looked at and fixed because of it being a business hub. It is a business hub. There are numerous businesses over there. And for Strandfontein, we need to get this road better. We need to have a better road. We need to widen it so that there's no more congestion, so that people actually can come into the area and support these businesses, because you get stopped along the way because it's just a nightmare, first of all. There are so many open lands, like grounds here in Strandfontein and all these places where there are plans for things to be built that is not needed in this area. It's just not needed in this area. It's a false pay college. Who's going to go to that college? Are our kids going to that college? Because it would just be an influx of bodies in the area. Why? Why can it not be built somewhere else? Why can't we have new housing here for people still living in backyards, in other people's backyards? Why can we not have that? That is what we need to do, because yes, that would be jobs for our companies and our contractors who can build houses, bring money back into the community, because the money is taken from somewhere else, given to someone else, and it leaves the area. It never stays here. It doesn't come back to our people. That is one thing we need to change, because there are companies and businesses within our area that can develop our area, that can uplift our area, but there's no support from government. No support. And that is the biggest issue that needs to change. Thank you.
I'm going to touch on Sean's first question that seemingly has been dodged. Ward 43, Sean, just correct me here, we're just under 500 square kilometers of space in Ward 43. Yeah. Just under 500 square kilometers. I'm not too sure what the current population is, but the 2011 census has got a figure that is nowhere near what it is now. 2016, we had just over 18,000 registered voters in Ward 43. How are we going to manage this population? Ward 43 being the size that it is and divided up into the various neighborhoods and suburbs, farmlands, informal settlements, I believe that strong ratepayers associations, ratepayers and residents associations needs to be set up in each of these sectors. Further to that, strong ward committees needs to be set up. We come from a past where, in my opinion, and I sat on that ward committee for a couple of weeks, and I resigned because I felt that those ward committees did not come to the table with sector mandates. They came there with organizational mandates and personal mandates. Those mandates that they present around those tables are where decisions are made from. The councillor bases his decisions on those mandates. None of those, let me not go there. But I believe that we need strong ward committees, strong residents associations. Those are your arterials that you use to reach your communities, and those are your arterials that the communities will reach you, so that you can make decisions based on the needs and the concerns within those communities, those various pockets of communities. To come back to the business part, to the economic part of it, in my 20s, I did an apprenticeship because I loved woodwork. I did yacht making, yacht building, and I did woodwork. I studied furniture design, and I did a bit of architecture. Most of what I did was based on sustainable plans. If we say in build houses, how sustainable is building houses? Because you're looking at the 1-year contract of building a home, and then the guy's unemployed again. Not to, that's just this is how I've planned my life in terms of sustainability. If I made a plan 20 years ago, I'm hoping that that plan is still sustainable 30 years later and 50 years later. I ventured into, I decided years ago that I cannot spend my life in a factory. I had the skill, I studied, I did production management, and I needed to move out of that environment to upskill myself and to better myself. The lessons I've learned in production management, I've taken to every aspect of my life. Event management, I don't tell a lot of people what I do in my private life, but I do security consultation. Sandy knows, he knows. In terms of the projects I've launched, looking at economic sustainability, I put in a proposal for the informal trading plan in Ward 43 to be expanded, because currently we only have 2 spots in the whole of Ward 43 that are, might be off the track here. I think in Strandfontein we only have 2 locations for informal trade, for regulated informal trade. Looking at the holistic view of businesses at the moment, most of them are struggling. If you look around you now, you'll see all this informal trade happening, which is unregulated. So to kickstart business in the area, I would imagine that the informal trade sector needs to be expanded and regulated. When it comes to economic opportunities within the area, I do not believe, based on the current infrastructure that we have, that, and if you look around what has happened in the last week, the last month, the last 2-3 years, our infrastructure cannot cope with the demand. We cannot have a Strandfontein integrated housing development happen when our current infrastructure cannot support the current load.
Okay, so just to answer the questions, I think Sean was touching on the size of the area, and I think it's also maybe just to answer that first one, that we do understand that this is it's not a poor area. You know, it's when I say area, I mean ward. You find if you're driving from Strandfontein all the way up to Boundary Road, you'll see that there are gaps within the income of our people, and it's I think last stats was 37,000 people. You've got what 9,800 odd houses. You've got in total 355 roads. To create jobs just within that, you can use that, and there is a security plan that you can use that we've come up with just to create jobs. You can create 355 jobs just with one thing. which we obviously won't share, but that's one way of doing it. But I think the first thing to touch when it does come with business and is its exposure, firstly with the businesses within the area. It's for our people to know what businesses are in the area. We're in a digital era, and we still find that some of our business are lacking in that area. They don't have, if they do have access to a certain platform, they don't have an online store. How do you support businesses in this? And this is one of the big things that we are passionate about. It's to push our people to a level of professionalism where they can trade properly, where they can come online digitally and actually trade. I think your first is to expose the current businesses that we have on a digital platform and bring them all online. Then look at where the pitfalls are within the current businesses. How can we help them? So first thing is exposure and business support. Then I think what we need to do is change the mindset of our youth. And that is why one of the things we launched is a young entrepreneur program. The idea behind this is between 16 and 18 years old. If you get your youth in and train them to run a business between 16 and 18, you give them the room 2 years to make mistakes. You give them the room to build. You give them the room where they can knock their heads and actually get the faults, so that when they are 18 to legally register that business, they've got a business that now runs. It gives them a place where they can pay for their own studies, where they can put food on the table for some houses where we know that this is a lack. So the young entrepreneur program, I think, is vitally important. Then also looking at the current businesses, and like I said, business support, young entrepreneur, that is a big thing. And I think just from a business point of view, I think that's where we should go. I think getting our businesses online, getting them digitally, and exposing our people. And then creating a network within the area. When I say network in the area, we've got you'll see on Mario's post, is proudly Stramontein, is to get to a place where we're purchasing things from our own people, where we're not going outside of the area. If there's a mechanic, get a mechanic in your area. If there's an upholsterer, get the upholsterer in your area. If there's a shop owner that's opposite that you know is a cousin or a friend of yours, purchase your things there. Why? This is keeping the economy thriving within this area. It's keeping the people, it's putting food on people's table that comes from your pocket. It's your hard-earned, but you are investing into somebody else's business. I think this is just 3 points that we should actually start to look at. A lot of the projects we have already started, and it is currently running. So that's just from our side. And then I think from, we won't answer the second question because I've only got 2 minutes. Okay.
I think there's a lot that we can learn from all the ideas. So when re-elected as the councillor, I will surely come knock on your door, because I know that is something that we need, is youth development, to train youngsters in businesses. It's important that we support businesses, and therefore I do share the sentiments of my colleague on the other side about the red tape. That is why I was... Let me start with the pavilion. I said earlier that the Fallsback coastline is an undeveloped coastline. If you look at the other side of the city, very developed, but this side, our people are deprived of being economically empowered by this coastline. We lived along this coastline for years. I grew up in Makassar, born in 1976. I eken the coastline. In 2018, nodal development was approved by council, and Strandfontein Pavilion was also approved for nodal development. In that same year, I submitted a motion for the development of the Strandfontein Pavilion to be developed into an economic hub, like we see on the other side of the Atlantic seaboard. We've got the waterfront. We can have the same year develop the Strandfontein Pavilion, make it attractive to investment, because council, the city of Cape Town, will never be able to do it on its own. So we need to attract investment to the area. I submitted that motion in 2018 to upgrade the pavilion into an economic hub and to position it as a tourist attraction. I've also supported the upgrade of the Broken Road, where 27 million was budgeted for the upgrade that will attract more people to the area. In terms of the Valsberg College that my colleague mentioned earlier, it is money, it's taxpayers' money. Let me just put that out there, it's taxpayers' money. The 380 million rand that was made available by the Higher Education Department to build a college for Mitchell's Plain, Strandfontein, by the way, is part of Mitchell's Plain. When I got wind of it, I brought them to this land. And the management of the Valsberg College fell in love with this piece of land for this college. This will bring 30% towards local businesses. That's 114 million rand for local businesses. Subsequent to that, I've arranged a compliance workshop for local businesses to be able to be compliant when there's opportunities to do business, so that when there's opportunities, we don't fall short of being compliant. You don't have a tax certificate, you don't have a bank account, etc., etc. Mario touched on the Strandfontein Integrated Housing Project, Earth 1212. I believe that everybody cannot live in town. We're almost social housing and closer to town, but we have people living right here in our community, in informal structures. We can give them a better living condition, but I don't think that should be the only, by building houses, it should not be the only thing. That's why I've recommended for the inclusion of a commercial hub within the development, so that can be space created where businesses can be create space to attract new business. Like, for instance, your Pick n Pays, your Woolworths. We don't have office space. We have a call center in Strandfontein. I've assisted them to get funding for internship. But we need business space to construct or to develop or to build a call center. And that's why I believe that the integrated development housing project should not be without commercial inclusion, so that people can have job opportunities where they live closer to where they live. In the PHA, for instance, we have farmers, we have commercial farmers, we've got small-scale farmers, and I was instrumental in establishing a 14-man rural unit to assist in the safety and security of that area. There's still a lot to be done in Ward 43 to deal with the ongoing power outages. I think to make business, to assist business in allowing or to come alongside them, to allow them to do business and to flourish in business so that jobs can be created. So we're currently busy with a safety plan in the PHA in addition to the 14-man rural unit, as well as the CCTV camera network that we've established. There's about 6 cameras in the entire Ward 43. And I believe that once we work with the safety structures and making the area safe to do business with, it will attract more business to the area. I agree with the congestion. That's something that we really need to work on, and to have business support, because like I said earlier, when we had the compliance workshop, we discovered that there's a lot of people who wants to do business, but they don't understand what is needed to do business. Thank you.
Seems like the Strandfontein Pavilion seems to be a common factor. But the common factor has been on the agenda since 2009, when there were still other councillors long before us, but it was always waved away. So it's not new. It's been proposed by the African National Congress in 2009 by a councillor called Jeremiah Tainsman, that stays here in Bayview in San Remo, in actual fact, in 2009. So it's nothing new. We've even proposed that there should be slipways, because we are fishermen, and must go all the way to fish, all the way to the strand to go and land their boats. And imagine the cost in the fuel. Then they were telling us, no, the winds are too strong, the wind is this, the wind is that, which was all a lot of hog at the time. It was just not to develop the coastline here. That's as simple as it is. Now it's an afterthought and saying, now what do we do next? So we go and scratch it out of there. But I believe it's a good idea, but give due where it is due. Say where it came from. Don't claim other people's things, or other parties' ideas, or other parties' projects. The Forsberg College is fundamental. It must happen. And actually, fact, there's two. The one is at SWART Club, which is the engineering college going to be. The other one here is the business college. Now, it might cause congestion traffic, but we should all have to accommodate it. But imagine the spend it will bring in of 5,000 odd students. It's massive. So the development, once again, our adversaries, the current administration, obviously want to claim the Forsberg College, which is incorrect. That was an Aleri Pando project, punted by us in the 2019 elections, which went with 1,000 opportunities for Mitchell's Plain youth bursaries. Out of that 1,000, we did 450, including Masjidandani here and other youth. For a year, we funded their bursaries. Up until now, they were studying. So we're not just talking, we're implementing. But I think somebody said, I think it was Mario, that I'm not a person that makes noise, I want to be on social media, want to flash, no. The work you do must speak for it. And in Stramontin you can go and they'll tell you, they know who's Ernest. During the indigent grants, which I don't think is correct, the indigent grant need to be made far more simpler. It's too complicated, linked to your house price and the value determined by the city. Not even by evaluated by the city. And the reason is simple, that's to exclude people. And that should not be. We should look at everybody's situation individually. Because no two people are the same. And why I say that, during the COVID period, when people were in water and all those things, remember, I'm a peer counselor, but I personally go to somebody's house when there's an issue, because two people's water accounts or issues doesn't have the same story. So you need to understand the story before you can assist the person. And I go to the house and I listen to the story and I personally follow the matter. That is what we call commitment and being available to the people, even if you're not a ward councillor. And that's why I was adamant that a councillor is a councillor. There is no difference, and my colleague will tell you. Councillors do all the same thing, whether you are PR or whether you are ward. It's just the one is elected, as we call, directly by the people, and the other one is based on the party votes that the party got. But if it's from the same party, it builds capacity. If it's from the opposite party, it's to make sure that the one that's in power or that governs do what they must do. And I'm sure my colleague will say that although lots of times we hark and tuck, but we got things right on argument a lot. The issues of if you look at economic activity, the amount of liquor outlets we have in Stramontin is far too much. It destroys our social fabric. Then we have this thing about extension of trading hours. You can ask my councillor colleague here. There is no way that we agree to any extension of liquor licenses. Even if it goes to the tribunal, we reject it, because we can't have our community and family lives destroyed because somebody wants to make profit at the expense of the people. We can't agree to that. So anything, there needs to be economic growth, but there's limitations to everything. You can't do it today to the detriment of the communities you're going to serve. And we can't have that. Furthermore, our youth is the most fundamental. If we don't educate them, we have nothing. That's what's important. Somebody said the college will cause X, Y, and Z, but I don't totally agree with that, because we need to start with our youth. We need to make sure that children go to school and study. There's only way out of our situation as parents where we act. Hoping our children, once we have given it, can make look sure that we are looked after. The same, that's what I spoke about, the social cohesion. We talk about the informal settlements. The only way those children can change their situation is upward through studying, education. And in that regard, we took 30 youth from the PHA, 30. For a year, we put them through accredited agri-farming and crop farming. They've qualified now about in October past. Now the next objective is, which is a personal quest I have, is to make sure that there's farm on that area, is try and get farm areas there, so those youth that now been trained can actually farm to the interest benefit of the community. The PHH provide 40 to 60% of the veg requirement of the metro. Although there's a lot of business there, but a lot of the business is wrong businesses. They're destroying the agri there. So we need to control that. And I'm sure my colleague will say how we're battling that, because what we're doing, we're pushing up the price of veg if we allow that to go to ruin. Because then they import it. You know, potatoes already almost, none of us can almost afford it. Just be a minute with me. One of the most fundamental things that if we talk about economic growth, then we cannot, as an administration, levy people or charge people out of their shoes and their clothes. The water levies, the blue meters, those things was a disaster for the people. It should never have happened. Then Strandfontein itself in the eye of the administration, it's an afterthought always. That's why we had a concentration camp, which we took up with the ratepayers at the Strandfontein Socio-Economic Development Forum, which I chair. We took it up on behalf of the people. It was an afterthought. Eventually, they had to back off. But thank you. There's much more to say, but I will give others a chance. Thanks.